in this demonstration, I'll be showing us how we can monitor our EBS volumes, which is part of our EC2 setup. So we are right here on the EC2 dashboard, and to view the EBS volumes we go to EBS block store, and under EBS block store we click on volumes. The EBS volumes are always attached to your EC2 instances, so most times you're going to see an EBS volume for an EC2 instance. So for our example, we have one EBS volume here, and we can see this invariably means that we have a single EC2 instance running. So to view the metrics of this EBS volume, we click on monitoring, and here we can see some of the activities of our EBS volume, from the write bandwidth to the write output to the average queue length to the average write latency, and a bunch of other interesting information about our EBS volume. So this can help us know the speed of writes, okay, the average queue length, how much time is taken for it to queue up requests that it needs to perform read and write operations on, and a couple of other interesting information here. But the CloudWatch automated dashboard for EBS volume, which is what we are looking at right here, does not give us information about the size, okay, about the capacity, how many percentage of the EBS volume is in use or has been used up. So to be able to view those logs, you need to configure and install unified CloudWatch agent in the EC2 instance, and that information will be pushed over into CloudWatch main dashboard. So we'll be viewing that right now. So now that we are in the CloudWatch console, by now we've already configured the unified CloudWatch agent, like we talked about in chapter 4. You can check it out in the book, and with that you can actually send information, a lot of information, into CloudWatch logs. And part of the information you can send is actually the disk percent usage. So we're going to create a dashboard that will help us to view that via the metrics to see what is going on within the EBS volume in terms of disk consumption. Okay, so to do that, we go straight into metrics, and under metrics is going to show us a couple of metrics, and under that we're going to go to the custom namespace, because the namespace, it creates a custom namespace based on the CloudWatch agents that we have configured. And here we can see CW agents. When we click on that, we have different groupings, from image ID, instance ID to image ID, instance ID, instance type. We'll go for this because this is where what we are looking for actually resides. So when we come here, we can see that there are a couple of metrics here. They are all under the same instance that we've configured it on. It's showing us the AMI ID, the instance type, and the metric, which is disk percent usage. So this metric is telling us how much disk is used in our system. So to do that, we can simply tick on this box, and it's going to start giving us that information. And here it is. It's showing us that about 88.1% is in use. Now the reason for this sudden rise is because the instance was not running for a while. That's why you don't see any information. So when the instance is not running, the CloudWatch agent doesn't run, therefore it doesn't push logs over and metrics over into CloudWatch for us to be able to monitor and read at any time. So when we click on that, from this point on, we can actually convert this into either a dashboard or into an alarm. But this is what actually shows us what is going on in terms of disk percent consumption in our EBS volume. So we can actually quickly save this as a dashboard. So I can come to Untitled Graph here and call this, just simply clicking on that, and call this disk usage for monitoring instance. So since the name of the instance is monitoring instance, we're just using this as a very simple name. It could be some other kind of name that you could use just to make it easier for you to recognize. So this is basically how you can monitor the metrics from the EBS volume side and also the metrics from this side. A good way that is going to be helpful in terms of getting a proper overview of your EBS volume is to ensure that you create a unified dashboard where all the different charts are in a single place, so you can view them from one single view instead of having to go to the EC2 to view it, or to view it from a separate screen and flipping from one screen to the other. Thank you. In this demonstration, I'm going to show how to create an FSX Luster service and how monitoring works with it and the different metrics that goes with FSX Luster. So the first thing we need to do is to navigate to the storage category and click on FSX service right here. Okay, we are here at the FSX Luster at the FSX management console, and here we have the option to create a file system. So we'll click on create file system, and here there are two options of different types of FSX file systems. We have Amazon FSX for Windows file server and FSX for Luster. So FSX for Luster is usually for Linux operating system, and that's what we will be creating. So let's click on this, and we'll click on next. So on the next page, we'll be asked a couple of questions. So we're going to give our file system a name. And for this scenario, we shall call our file system sample. And we have a bunch of configuration here. Do we want it to be a persistent SSD, a persistent HDD? We're just going to leave all that to be blank. And here we can specify the storage capacity. So let's assume we can so we can make the storage capacity 1.2 terabytes. Okay, and then we can leave the other things to be default. That's the VPC, which is the network where the FSX Luster will be created, the subnet encryption and all that. You can simply leave that and click on next. And these are all the configurations that we have applied. We just want to review everything to be sure they are correct, and then we'll click on the create file system button here. So it's going to take a couple of minutes for this to be ready. So we'll pause it and then we'll come back and see it created. So the FSX Luster has been created. Now that it is successfully created, we can simply click on the file system to see where the metrics and the monitoring comes in. So if you click on monitoring here, you're going to find the metrics for the particular FSX Luster instance. It's going to take a couple of minutes, and here we go. So these are all the metrics we can find. This tells us amount of free storage, the throughput in terms of bytes per second, and also the total IOPS, input output per second on the disk. So if you want to see more information, you can always jump over into CloudWatch. All the way from here, you can view the log, can view the metrics, and it will take us over into CloudWatch. And we can also create an alarm based on the metrics that we find here. Thank you.